Hello and welcome to the Kiwi Advisor Network podcast. I'm the host, Warwick Slow, and today's guest is William Tieu. William has been in the industry for about 5 or 6 years, and he has grown quickly. He's one of the industry's rising stars, so much so that he's actually won a couple of awards with that exact title. He's produced content that has gone and been visited and viewed by thousands of people over mediums like TikTok and Instagram, Facebook. But he's also very conscientious. You know, he plants trees every time a deal gets processed. And he's someone who is just very passionate about helping people and growing in the industry. So I think you'll really enjoy it. Make sure you log this down as your CPD hours. It counts towards it. And if you enjoy it, I'd love it if you could pass it on to somebody else who might get value from it. So otherwise, enjoy the podcast. William, thanks for joining us here today. Been a couple of years since we've known each other, and it's good to I've kind of met you a few times, but always good to just sit down and have one of these conversations and see what's up.
Yeah.
So I've been following your journey, partly because I remember when I first met you, someone from the team saw your name come through and they were like, hey, I think I know that guy from some TikToks I've seen online.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've now got a massive catalog of online content, just explaining all things mortgage brokering, blog articles. How did you decide, or how did you go about starting that up?
So how it started was basically COVID. So when people, were bored at home, obviously they wanted to see what's the next thing that they want to watch. You had Netflix, you had YouTube, and then TikTok came along and everyone thought it was like a bit of a younger generation app. And I heard of TikTok obviously through the Chinese version, which was Douyin, and they brought it over here. And everyone was saying that it's just a dancing app and all that. And if it blows up in China, there must be a reason why it blew up there. So it's going to definitely blow up in I guess the wider outside China. And so I jumped on and I was like, man, I was spending like 5 minutes every day just scrolling. And then 5 minutes became 10 minutes. And then 10 minutes became like half an hour. I'm like, holy crap, I'm wasting so much time on this. So then from there, I was like, I may as well utilize my time better, and just started creating content. At first, I was just like, no one's going to watch this, because everyone thought it was, like I said, a dancing app. But then the sooner you realize that actually, no, it's more than that, because the algorithm was starting to pick up on people who are interested in mortgages or property. And that's when the market was starting to heat up. No one could travel. So people wanted to go out, see what the best rate was. Maybe I should look into investment property. And I honestly, I think it was just the right timing at the right time, I guess. Is that the same?
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. I mean, it's just hit the right time and crest of the wave.
Yeah. And
there you go. And how have you found it in terms of, has it been good for leads? Has it brought other value to your business that maybe you didn't anticipate?
At first, I did bring some business, but then after 2 years, the leads, at the end of the day, the leads would always come back to referrals. Your referral sources, the accountants, the lawyers, the agents.
Yep.
And ultimately your word of mouth if you do a good enough job. At first, yes, the leads were okay, but you had to filter out yourself. Right? And so when you realize that you had to do a lot of filtering, the leads weren't as great as you thought they were. So it was just more of a value add back to the people that, hey, if you want to contact me, then this is the link that you book yourself in. Because if you can get them to book, you know that they're serious, right?
That's the same what we say with the software.
Yeah.
If people go through and they complete that initial fact find, they're serious, keen. Which is great if you've got a business with lots of leads and lots of people coming through, because you can be picky. Sometimes, if you're having a quieter month, you're like, pushing a deal or maybe pushing a client through the process that and know that they're not going to be a good fit.
Yeah, because after when you first come out as an advisor, you think you can work with every client, but then sooner or later you'll realize that the client doesn't have obligation to you, neither you have an obligation to the client, but you can start filtering what sort of client that you want. And the customer's just trying to feel you out as well. He's like, is this advisor right for me? It's just like a lawyer as well.
It's two-way street.
It is.
Yeah, even the first step of the 6-step process is establishing that client relationship. You want to make sure they're the right people to work with.
Yeah.
Going back to that TikTok algorithm part, I remember reading end of last year that there are more searches now via TikTok than there are through Google.
Really?
Which I don't know whether to believe or not. It was an article headline I read in classic me. I just saw it and went, oh, interesting.
Actually, come to think of it, I'd probably start searching more on TikTok than,
Gen Z, apparently that's what they use. And in the search bot wars, as you'd call it, I mean, you might have seen Bing. They've just tied in Bing with that ChatGPT, open AI. So I don't know, Google, they might be sweating.
I think they are. Well, wasn't there an article saying that that Google's starting to create their own AI as well? Or that they bought out?
I actually asked the other, the ChatGPT bot. I asked it a question. I said, why doesn't Google have a similar AI system?
Yeah.
And it said they likely do, but they use it internally for their own stuff.
Yeah.
So they haven't monetized it yet.
I think it's also probably compliance. You know, when you get up to, not compliance, complacency. When you get to a certain stage, you know you're at your A game. But how do you continue to innovate and be on top of it? And it's quite hard to do that because when you're, at your own top, you got to be your own. I guess
you're competing against yourself, aren't you?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's being chased is so different to chasing. If you're trying to be that next, big thing, you kind of have a target.
Yeah.
And it's like anything, you play a video game or you lose a lot of weight and you get to a particular goal you're trying to get to. You can sometimes go, I did it. There was this, I think I've spoken about it on the podcast before, but there was this speaker I went to. It might have been at that Financial Advice New Zealand conference. And he talked about that finding your gap. So finding the spot between where you are now and where the end goal is that you want to get to. Like the example they used was I think it was a blind guy that climbed Mount Everest.
Oh, yeah.
And when he got to the top, the person said, don't let this be the best thing you ever do.
Yeah.
Like, true. You can't rest on your laurels.
How do you beat that, though? I mean, you have to go to space.
SpaceX.
Yeah. Literally.
But I mean, any type of success is all relative, For them, it might be, I don't know, having a family or starting a mortgage business. You just don't know what's going to be.
That's so true. I think it's definitely becomes a journey.
Yeah. Well, what's your journey next? I mean, you've come a long way.
Still the same, I think. Yeah. I mean, I enjoy what I do, and most advisors do, because the feedback you get as advisor is immediate. Whereas, when I worked as an engineer, it took a long time to get that, that value feedback. It was just a grind, essentially.
By the end, you're just like, thank God.
Yeah. I mean, everyone has their own success, what they want to achieve. Like some engineers love what they do. There's nothing wrong with that.
I saw on your website, you helped with that cycle bridge through Auckland. Like, how long would a project take from start to finish to execute on something like that?
I think that was like two years in the making, or 2 or 3 years.
It's a lot less than I thought, but
yeah. Well, the engineering part itself, I think took about maybe six months to a year from memory.
Right.
Modeling took most of the time because it was a strange bridge. It was a triangular deck bridge. So most bridges are square, and that's you build square bridges, and because it's just a stronger shape.
Right.
A triangular deck is that all the loaders come back down to the bottom. So that's why a lot of bridges don't do that.
I see.
Because the weakest point is just at one point. So that's why you only see the roads that are built in square.
And if even sometimes they'd use the triangle as like part of the structure, but it wouldn't be like the main point.
Yeah,
like you think about those like truss structures, they'll have like little triangles in it.
Yeah.
But interesting. Okay. And so what was the point where you were like, nah, not keen with engineering, want to be a mortgage advisor?
Good point. I think after graduating, I did 3 years as a contractor. So I worked a lot on site with people, and I really enjoyed that. But it was nothing to do with what I studied in engineering, like calculation, numbers. It wasn't anything like that. And so I applied to like a few consultancies and ended up working at a small engineering firm that specializes in bridges. And that was basically what I studied. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll try to get into this. But I was already 3 years out of the game. And it was just so hard to actually get back into, formulas, number crunching, doing modeling work. And it was just 9 to 5 every day. 9 to 5 every day. And I was just like, oh, I can't actually do this. I can't see myself doing this for 40 years. And then, I just had to find something else to do.
And then, I mean, if you got an interest in property, it is a natural progression, isn't it?
I actually don't know what I was going to do. So when I left engineering, my wife and I decided to go travel. And at that point, we weren't too sure what we were going to do after our travels. But the company I used to work for was at Half Moon Bay. I don't know if you heard the story.
Oh, no?
So the company I used to work for was at Half Moon Bay, where you guys used to be.
No way. In the marina.
In the marina. You know that little shoebox?
Yeah, I mean, I cut my teeth in that shoebox.
Yeah. So, and it was next to the gym. You know that? Yeah. So I was in that same room where you guys were.
No way.
And every day I park my car, walking down the marina, and you say, oh, man, these are really nice boats. And then I'm like, man, I don't think as an engineer, as an engineer, I don't think I can do that. Even if I get up to the, technical director or whatever, your salary is going to be at X.
Capped at a certain point.
It's capped, unless you obviously run your own business. And I didn't have a knack for engineering, running my own team or anything like that. Then there's a car parked at the marina on the opposite side, and he had his plate matched it to the billboard sign up top. And I went back into the office that morning. I Googled, dropped in an email, say, hey, looking for business mentorship. And then he flicked me an email saying that, yeah, keen, come meet up. And I was like, okay, cool. So one lunch time, I went over to his office and we just caught up, and he said, oh yeah, I do mortgage brokering. I was like, cool. I don't know what it really entails because at the time I was looking to buy property, and we went through a mortgage advisor as well, or mortgage broker at the time. And I thought it was just handed information and then she goes and does her thing. But there's actually a lot more to it. And after a while, having a few more meetings with him, he's like, oh, why didn't we work together? Oh, actually, I offered myself for free. I was like, can I just join you and see what you do for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 months?
Love that.
Yeah. And then he said, I'll have a think about it. And then after thinking about it, I joined him. And I said, actually, no. Before I joined him, I said, I'm actually leaving for an OE with my wife. He's like, I'll wait for go do your travels. I'll wait for a year. And then my wife, this was in Canada, and she was like, I want to stay for another year. I'm like, oh shit, I already promised him that we're going to come back to work. And I told him, oh no, we're going to stay for another year instead. And totally fine, not waiting, because obviously it was already a year, because he's already starting to get stuff ready for me. Anyway, we came back after a year, and then I said, hey, is that position still available? I'd love to join you. And he's like, yeah, come on through. And so I joined him for about 2 years. And he was good. I learned everything from him. Yeah, he was a good mentor. Hey, I've been fortunate to have good mentors, to be honest. Yeah.
There's a lot of great people out there in the industry who just want to bring new talent in.
Yeah.
And just having the initiative to reach out, that puts you so far ahead in anything in life. If there's something you want to get into, you'd be amazed at just calling somebody up and saying, hey, I'll help you out for free.
Yeah.
Let me
see, people love it. Yeah. They just want to help. Yeah. I think it's just human nature, right?
Yeah. Generally. It was interesting you saying that you didn't necessarily understand the value of the broker or the advisor the first time you went to them. That must be the experience for a lot of people. You're doing so much behind the scenes for these clients, but they just don't know because you're not either communicating it well with them or you just haven't educated them as to what the value is. Do you do anything special around that now when you have a client so they understand what I'm doing is more than just processing paperwork?
Yeah, so most of the time when I meet my client, it'll be first 10-minute phone call to see if it's basically a pre-screening phase to see if I can help them. If not, I can probably help them in, say, 6 months. We'll come up with a quick plan, 6 to 12 months. But if I can help them now, then we'll set up a proper 1-hour meeting. And we go through what the goals are, what do you want to do, like why, what are your future plans, and then we dig into the numbers. Ultimately, it comes back to three fundamental things. And it's with anything in life. If you understand the principles, anything is easy. Everything will be the same. Whether you're an investor, first-time buyer, developer, it ultimately comes down to the principles: deposit, income, and account conduct. So if you can break down whatever the portfolio, whatever situation is in their finances, if you can figure out, okay, this is the deposit, this is the income, this is how well they manage the money, you just tie them all together. So when I meet my clients, I just do that. Just break it down to the most simplest terms for them so that they can understand. And there's a lot of pictures involved when I discuss. So it's not just a meeting on a phone.
Okay. And what type of pictures do you use?
Houses. Just stick figure houses. So when you're talking numbers on the phone, you're like millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of deposit figures. It's so hard to grasp, right? But if you draw pictures and make it more visual, people just understand it a lot easier.
So true.
I'm a visual person. I think, to be honest, 80%. Yeah, most people are. Yeah.
I love that. And yeah, it's just like breaking down to a few key principles.
Yeah.
I remember one of my management mentors always said, good managers or, good teachers just repeat a few things often.
Yeah.
So if you just hit on those 3 points, having a good deposit, income, and good conduct with your accounts, if you just focus on that, seems so much simpler than, maybe cut back on this spending and do this and set up your account this way.
Yeah. Essentially it is. I mean, and it will always come down to, one of those 3 points. Yes, you've got the deposit, tick. Okay, don't need to do anything about it, but just don't blow it on something else. Income, okay, this is the one that's holding you back in terms of getting the house that you want. Maybe look for another job. And you can give this some pointers as well. If you help certain people, you realize, okay, what sort of pay grade that are they falling behind or whatever?
Are they an engineer? Are they going to get capped? Should they be mortgage broke with you?
Yeah. Yeah, potentially.
Have you ever met anybody through that process and you're thinking, oh, that'd be a good fit for joining me?
Nah, not really.
Nah.
Never. It's hard. It's a hard industry to get into and break into because everything's commission based.
Yeah,
unless you're on 2 years. Yeah, the first 2 years. Yeah.
How long have you been an advisor for now?
Coming up to 4, I think, or 5. I can't even remember now.
Cool.
2017.
Well, I saw you last year. You won that Rising Star Award at the Financial Advice New Zealand Awards, and I felt this like a little bit of pride. I was like, that's the TikTok guy.
Yeah. I TikTok. Okay.
I'm just burning your toast, but there's obviously a lot more that goes into it. I can tell that your clients, you're helping them on that journey.
Yeah.
That's one element to it, but
TikTok does. I'm not gonna. It has elevated my image because your creative personality comes out because doing mortgages is so boring. When you first do it, what I mean by boring is that the
it's
administrative
not sexy,
side.
is it?
Yeah. The administrative side, the paperwork, the regulations, the compliance, it does get a bit overwhelming. And so having that scape to create your own content it gives a bit more.
Bit more pizzazz. Yeah, I get that too. Sort of like what we're doing with this podcast too. I was just in my head there. I was like, in some industries that have like the sex symbol or like the main person of the industry. Who do you think is the sex symbol of the financial advice industry in New Zealand?
Yourself, man.
That wasn't an alley-oop.
Well, there's a lot of good
joke.
No, I know. There's a lot of good people, in the industry. Great people.
Yeah.
I mean, I learn a lot from just watching some of their content and reading their blogs just to get a bit more of their insight.
I'm connected with a lot of advisors on LinkedIn and the various social networks, and you see some really good content being put out there. Even now, the algorithm on Instagram knows that I search mortgage brokers quite often, so I get ads pop up. And just last week, there was an advisor that is with us, and they had this marketing spin. They were putting people together for a group webinar.
Yeah,
I was like, man, that's good. If I was looking for a home and I was just starting that journey and that popped up, I'd go, wow, impressive.
Yep.
I also want to talk about, on your website, it says you're planting trees.
Oh yeah.
What is that in relation to?
I'm big on sustainability. So for every client that I help, basically I just donate trees to an organization called Trees That Count.
I love that.
I would love to go out and, to be honest, I can probably.
Go plant them yourself?
Yeah, go plant it, help plant it rather than gifting. But it's just really time, because when you have kids, you start prioritizing, where you want to spend your time.
So you've got a couple of kids, or?
Got 2 kids, 2 boys. Nice. Got a 3-year-old and a 6, 7, 8.
Oh, right. Okay. So
month-old.
You launched, you kind of got started as a broker.
Yeah.
As they were kind of growing up. So it's not
pretty much. Yeah. So going back to when you start off as an advisor, if you can break 2 years, you should be good.
So how was that first couple of years for you?
Hard.
Yeah.
Hard. Basically, you start at zero. Yeah. And it's just, you got to believe in yourself 100%. You got to back yourself 100%. There'll be people out there, even your parents would say, what are you doing? You studied 4 years, 5 years to get to where you are, and you just drop everything, and now you got a kid on the way as well. So it was hard. Yeah, but I had a supportive wife.
What would you say to somebody who's maybe at year one and they've joined at arguably one of the toughest times?
Get a mentor. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How would you suggest finding them the same way you found yours?
Yeah, just reach out. People are actually keen as to help, I think.
I see on that Facebook page all the time, and the NZ Advisor community, and people, I know that people have linked up and created relationships and friendships from it.
I think that's good. I think you just got to reach out. Don't feel like you're siloed. As mortgage advisors as yourself, most of the time we work by ourselves, but there's people out there. They feel that they're siloed as well, but you guys creating that Facebook group has been helpful immensely. Yeah.
More of a community.
Yeah.
We need more young advisors like you coming through who screw the family, screw the old career. I'm just going to try and be a mortgage advisor.
Yeah. I mean, you got to, it is hard.
Yeah. What are the most rewarding parts of it then?
Clients moving into their first times, really helping them. The ones that struggle or didn't believe in that they could ever own a home. Those are the biggest ones, I feel like. Or even, investors, first time investors that buy their first home, pointing them in the right direction as well. Yeah. Those are really good enjoyment.
It's nice, isn't it, when you see, I remember when we got our first home, it was for me, it was like a relief.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't have to go through this process again for a while. But yeah, that is quite, it's like a huge moment in their lives.
Yeah.
And it's cool to be at the forefront of that.
It is. And you feel that as well. It's like, I'm not buying the home, but I feel like I'm buying the home with you. And that journey is really cool.
And on top of mortgage advice, like, do you think longer term you'd look at other different avenues? Maybe like, I know some advisors do personal risk or KiwiSaver as well. Is that something you've considered or potentially?
No.
Look, I don't know.
I try to do insurance. I just didn't have the knack for it. Mainly because I was just always talking about life and death, cancer. It's just, people enjoy it. I just didn't have it. Yeah.
It's a mixed bag. I mean, some just love doing both. Some just prefer specializing. So
yeah,
at least you gave it a go.
Yeah. It's fun because it's just a package, right? You normally would segue from your mortgage, and then you got to cover your risk. Yeah. So what I do is I normally just refer it out. Yeah.
Because you're now with a new business, Goldsmith. So you've got your kind of own brand and business set up. How does that work in relation to working with another company?
Very good question. So they just let me be my own, just let me do my own thing. Really, yeah.
Nice.
There wasn't any thing holding me back. It's the same with the previous company I used to work for.
Yeah.
Just
let you do your own thing.
Just let me do my own thing.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot out there that like they want their brand to be kind of front and center, but
that's the thing. People don't relate to the brand. People relate to the individual. Because it's such a personalized thing. When you go out to get a mortgage, right? You're not saying, "Oh, I go to this company, I go to this person, I refer you to this person." I don't refer you to the company.
So true.
It's the person that you're talking to. And so coming back to, your, I guess, marketing, TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, you got to create content that adds value, but you have to let your personality come through as well. And when people see the authenticity come through, that's when they can relate to you. And that's when a soft lead becomes, a hot, warm lead.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well done, man. And are there any other marketing trends or anything you're probably going to look to implement or try?
No. There's just, creating content, people say, "Oh, it's just too much work, too much time." The hardest part is actually finding or coming up with the content itself. Editing is easy because I'm all doing it on my phone. So the editing software I use is CapCut. I used to do through Adobe, but Adobe's phone app was a lot clunkier. So I use CapCut as a...
Okay. And it sets it up all for phone and you can do it on your...
Yeah, it's all phone. It's free as well. Does all the captions, does everything. Yeah.
Once you get the idea for something, I feel like you would just be in the zone. You can probably bust it out in, I don't know, like half an hour, an hour?
Half an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you already know the content yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking about something that you live and breathe, so it should be in theory. Yeah. But it's just that initial starting point. Because how many have you made now? Must be. I've seen some have thousands of views. So
I started, 2021? Can't remember, 2020?
Probably that COVID time. Yeah.
COVID time, I can't remember. And initially it was Monday, Thursdays.
Right.
Those are the days I have to go. So if even from a holiday, I still have to pump one out.
You do the math.
Yeah. Have to pump.
For a year.
Yeah. Consistency. And then you realize this is the problem with creating content is you're now chasing the push for the algorithm to have your content out there. So instead of doing Monday, Thursdays, you start doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. When you start to grow your audience, because the thing with, I don't know how they do it. The social media companies, they must be constantly tweaking things. So you're constantly trying to tweak your content as well to match whatever they're trying to push.
My partner, we've got a dog Instagram, and she looks up things like trending audio and we'll like match videos up with that.
Yeah.
And some of them, I don't know, we've got like 500 followers for this like dog account. Yeah. And some of them have like close to 20,000 views.
Yeah.
Just for a video about a dog just running around the backyard. And it's just, I don't know how it works, but sometimes it'll just think that's what people want to see.
Yeah.
Into the algorithm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think.
So it's a balance.
It can be hard to know what is working because you need to be so in with the trends. You need to post a lot of content. Sometimes if you post at certain times of the day, yours is probably more, you want it to be specific to New Zealand, but if you're doing a more generic service, you want it to be relevant to bigger markets like, I don't know, China or the States. So you've got to put them out at a time where they're going to be awake.
Yes.
Because if you just send it out, it's midnight over there or whatever, you might get no views for what is something you've worked really hard on.
Yeah. It's disheartening. And if you're gone into the thinking or the mindset of I want to chase views, then you've got it completely wrong. For some reason, the content comes out, it comes through.
I was going to ask.
Yeah.
You must have some videos that you've worked really hard on. And you're like, this is a great video, and the reach has been terrible.
Yeah.
And then you must have some that I don't know, it's taken you 20 minutes and they've blown up. Are there any that spring to mind?
Yep. Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't remember the exact type of content, but yeah, I remember I was recording for probably about an hour and a half, the multiple cuts and all that. And then you just upload and say, oh yeah, this is going to do it. And then after a while, you're just like, oh man. So if you're chasing the views, for some reason they know. So just be yourself. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. Just create value. And if there's value in it, it will reach a certain type of person or type of client that you're wanting to reach. Yeah.
I was doing radio.
Yeah.
Studied it. And one thing that always pained me is that you put in all this effort and time into building out this curated bit of content, a nice break, and you say it and it's just into the ether, gone. Which in some degree is nice. If you say something stupid, which I quite often used to, you just like mess up a break, play the next song, you're like, well, at least somebody will probably forget about that in a few minutes.
Well, what it does, it instantly humbles you.
Yeah. Got humbled a lot.
Which is good, right? Because then you got to find ways to constantly improve on yourself. Yeah.
Oh, it's not necessarily cutthroat. It's really supportive, but as part of that role, you have to cut down your show after you do it, have into this like nice tidy little voice only kind of mega mix. You give it to somebody at the station who sits there and listens to it with you and critiques you.
That's like instantly.
And it sucks. As when I was 19 doing it, I used to hate it because, like ego driven.
Yeah.
But now when I do it, I get so much value from it.
Yeah.
Oh, great. I could improve that for next time. It's just shifting that.
It's a mindset.
Yeah.
That positive, constructive feedback is brutal, but I guess that's the reason why it's called positive constructive.
Yeah. You just got to put your ego aside and you know that shoebox office you mentioned when I first started with Trail, and you'd be having like meetings with advisors and the entire office can listen.
Yeah.
And as soon as you get off, and you probably have this too if you're working in as advisor speaking with a client, and then as soon as you get off the phone and then straight away someone from the team's like, hey, I think what you said there, you probably could have like phrased that better or been a bit clearer with communication.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn it.
And it's so hot in that room.
Yes.
It's so hot.
Yeah, it was a good place to learn. You learn quick.
You do.
In those types of environments. No time to rest on your laurels.
Yeah. I remember that story you mentioned. I remember that I was talking to a mentor. I was talking to a client, and after the phone call, and I didn't realize this. I kept on calling the client, man. I was just really conversational. Never met the person. He swung around after. He's like, I don't think you should use that language. That man. I'm like, and like deep down, I was like hurt. Yeah. Because that's how I speak. But then after reflecting on it, I was like, he is right. Because you got to, uphold some sort of professionalism as well. Maybe after 2 or 3 times that you've met the person.
It depends who you're talking to.
Yeah.
If say, for instance, I'm someone you're meeting with, you can just say, hey, man, how's it going?
Yeah.
And that's probably going to resonate better with me.
Yeah.
But if you're meeting with someone who's maybe a bit older and a bit more professional, and you've got just changing how you work. Do you still attract people like that, or do you find you're speaking with more younger people who are on a similar page to you?
Bit of a mix. Yeah. They're actually all over the place. I've got clients that are, in their 20s, clients in their 60s. Yeah, they actually vary. I don't have a specific group that I target. Yeah. But I will say that most of my clientele are first-time buyers. And I think the natural progression as an advisor is those clients naturally become investors. And when they become investors, they start having their own families, and then you start helping them. It's just
kids start having.
Yeah.
Okay. I love the journey. And it's it's so true, because if you do a good job for them, I know there's some advisors we've had. Paul Fuller from the Mortgage Room down in Blenheim, he came on. He said that he's now helping the kids of families that he helped get into their first home.
Yeah.
And seeing that full cycle, that's like the cherry on top, eh?
It's rewarding. Yeah, you can see the whole journey. It's like, oh, I helped your parents and all that.
They're obviously listening.
Yeah. No, it's been good. Having mentors is makes things a lot easier. Speeds up the process. I remember a couple sayings. If not you, then who? At first, I was like, oh, so you got to go out alone. But then what he was saying, well, what I understood afterwards was actually, you got to be accountable for yourself, for all your actions and the consequences that come. Yeah.
So how do you keep yourself accountable?
Keeping true to yourself, your own value system. If it's goal driven, then I've got a really good friend, accountability partner that we catch up every 2 weeks.
What do they keep you accountable for?
Oh, we set our own goals. So every 2 weeks, there's certain goals that we've got to hit.
Love that.
Yeah.
What kind of goals?
Certain amount of
like KPIs, like
KPIs. Yeah, it's not even business. It's also family. Certain amount of time that I got to spend with my family that I want to set. Because if you don't set it, then you just won't do it. You start neglecting it.
I'm going to quote another article that I can't remember where I read it or what, but speaking to people who are at the end of their lives and their one regret is always, I wish I'd spent more time with my family.
Yeah.
And you've got to be intentional about that kind of thing, because if you're running your own business, it can take priority.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, boom, like think about before you're like, oh, when did I do that? 2021?
Yeah.
Dude, it's 2023 now.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah. Where have these years gone?
I know. Like everyone, where did even the COVID years go by? I felt like just
blurs into one. And then we finally get a good summer, and then there's bloody cyclone after cyclone.
It's not even a summer, right?
Yeah, no.
Well, even though I find the summers here have become more tropical, it's so humid. It used to be a dry, nice, warm summer.
Yeah. And then every time I complain about anything like the weather or, just small challenges, I don't know, like maybe the dog's not listening to me or whatever, like, man, these just aren't problems, You get humbled pretty quick when you see things like the earthquake in Turkey or whatever it is. There's just always things that are going wrong, and just reminding yourself when you're maybe having a difficult day with a difficult client, maybe someone's not getting back to you and you need them to.
Yeah. Yeah, you just, got to be more self-aware, eh?
Take a moment.
You got to take a moment. Deep breaths.
Self-awareness, that's a tough one for me.
Oh, especially in this, not industry, I was going to say in this environment now.
Yeah.
Your phone's constantly going off, your work, and it's really overwhelming.
Even my watch, there's a couple of times where I feel my phone vibrate. I've got stupid notifications coming up for like, why don't I just turn that off? I don't know why.
Oh, yeah. You gotta have a break.
At least I know how many steps I've done.
You ever seen amount of steps? Certain amount that it's a
dynamic goal. So if I do a lot of steps, the next day it'll kind of set a similar one. But if it knows I'm being lazy, it'll kind of like bring them back.
Oh, that's pretty smart. So it's one of those smart things. Smart.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty bloody smart. No, when we did the Milford track at the end of 2022, and you're doing, I don't know, 25,000 steps a day. That can't remember the exact figure, but then when you finish and you go back to normal society, you look at your step goal and you're, a tenth of the way through. I'm like, come on, you can't expect me to do it every day.
How good is that track though? The
Beautiful.
Milford.
It was beautiful. You've done it too?
Yeah. The first day when we walked into the valley, I was like, shit, I feel like I'm in Lord of the Rings or something.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. I get goosebumps now just talking to you about it.
And do you know the messed up thing? And I was talking to my partner about it. We were counting our lucky stars because when we did it, we hit this beautiful break of 4 days with no rain. And then since then it's turned to custard. But one of the rangers said that he actually walked up to the top of the McKinnon Pass, whatever it is. You can see this beautiful view of the valley. And he said that he walked up that day because it was the first time in 3 weeks that you had a view. Yeah. And we'd got lucky on that day. So we used up all of our good luck, the summer weather then.
When you go, when?
Beginning of December.
Oh yeah, that would have been a good time. When did I go?
So good.
Yeah, so good. The first, I remember the first day was like the easy pace and walk to the hut. And then the second day was brutal. The third day getting up to McKinnon, far out.
Yeah. Oh man. I was battling with a bit of stomach crookness on the second day, but didn't want to tell anybody in the group. And they still quote me on this because they were all, debriefing over dinner.
Yeah.
And the Hidden Lake is like this sort of milestone about halfway through you can get to.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe even a little bit less. And we're sitting down. Oh, it was getting really tough near the end. I was like, guys, I've been battling since the Hidden Lake.
Did you eat something wrong or something?
Yeah, I had a couple of days off work leading into it because I had upset stomach. And I'd missed doing one of the other great walks because I randomly got vertigo like the previous year. I was like, oh man, they don't want me to do these great walks.
Yeah. Those great walks people should do it. The Tongariro is another great walk, but most people just do the back end into the thing. I think you should definitely do the full 3-4 day hike.
Do you do it with your partner?
Yeah, but we haven't done it since the kids. So the only great walk we've done, or two great walks, is Milford and Waikaremoana. I think that's how you pronounce it.
I want to do that.
That's cool. But it's not as nice as Milford.
Milford's, mate. Yeah. What do you do when you're running your own business? How do you take time off without having people calling you up? Like, how do you preface that with your clients?
I just send an email. Just don't pick up. You gotta have your own time. The client is everything and everything to you, but you also have your own life and family as well.
Why don't you have out of office texts?
That's a good point. Well, if it's urgent enough, they'll email you.
Yeah, true.
Or they'll call
They'll call you and then there'll be a, hey, I'm actually on leave until this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are aware of that as well. Yeah, if it's a certain, and that's a great thing when you work with a team, if there's a certain finance date or a settlement date, then obviously you've handed over to your team. So for example, like the guys at Goldsmith, obviously handing over, certain clients to them to look after. Yeah. I think if you're a solo advisor, you should probably...
Don't take time off ever.
Oh, you're screwed, mate. Might as well just sell the book.
Yeah. Are you buying, are you? Yeah, I'm buying actually, by the way.
Yeah, if you're taking 2 weeks, I'll sell the book.
Start from scratch. Yeah. Hey, look, wise advice. We'll cut that part.
Yeah, cut that part. Yeah. I've always had this philosophy of that if you do a good enough job, the money will flow.
Yeah. Doesn't matter all the marketing in the world. If the end product sucks. Then
But yeah, people see, honestly, people have their gut feelings like, oh, this guy's just doing it for the money. They'll switch. Just like that.
Guy yesterday, I was borrowing a few gazebos off a friend. He runs a plumbing business, very successful. And we went to pick something up in the garage and he goes, lifts up a box. He goes, there's all these radiators there that I've spent all this, I went and rebought these. Damn it. He was like, he's pissed off. He's like, how am I bloody running a business? I was like, mate, it's because the work's good. That's why. You might forget that you dropped $5,000 on some infinity boils or whatever, but the end of the day, clients love your work and that's why your business is successful.
Yeah.
I don't think you enjoyed the pep talk, but hey.
I was just going to say, touching on that business thing, because we're in the advice business. What do you think of ChatGPT? Like they say that it's going to put out advisors.
No.
And all that.
No. People said the same thing about computers.
Yeah.
No. It'll speed things up and it will give people more high quality work to do.
It's just another tool.
Exactly. So nothing's going to replace that bespoke advice in that relationship. It's like what you said before. You kind of a relationship with a company. I guess you can maybe, but you need a relationship with the person.
Yeah.
So if you look at the jobs that are most at risk for automation, advice would be pretty low down on it. I guess even like I've looked at it in like a sales type role or, pitching something that's down the bottom, things like truck driver, very at risk for automation. But I'd say that the parts that it's going to change is it's just going to make life easier for the advisor. Think about those administrative tasks, maybe writing out a report. I've seen and that you take a few brief diary notes, paste it into ChatGPT and say, flesh this out a little bit.
Really? I haven't tried that.
So, for instance, you might do this with clients, chat on the phone to them. You're just taking down a few notes about what they're talking about. So it could be like, they want to buy a first home in 6 months. They want to do this. They want to do this. And you're just writing like 1 or 2, 3 words. You can copy that. If you want to write a more thorough note, you copy that, put it into the AI bot and it'll spit out, just say, write this, fill this out a bit more, make it more casual. You can do all sorts of things with it. So
I wonder if there's a tool in that. So on the opposite end of that is if you're doing a recording, is there a tool in ChatGPT and say, hey, summarize this entire recording?
What you could do is I know you can use something like, actually, if you've got an iPhone, you can record directly into your notes.
Right.
And on the microphone, you could talk into it. There's a software product called Otter AI.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's actually artificial intelligence, but it's just, I guess, what do you define that as?
Yeah.
But, you talk into it and it transcribes that text into your voice into text, sorry. So you could copy that into it and just say, give me a concise bullet point list of what was discussed. So that could be a way of doing it. I know some, like even Google Meet, you can record, or Zoom, you can record it and get it to transcribe the text that way. So you could copy the text and then paste it into the bot and say, make it more concise.
That's something new. I use Teams.
I'm sure.
Teams does a recording, but they must do a transcribe thing as well.
They're listening because you can do like closed captions for Google. So like they're recording every word that's said.
But they're like right now.
Kind of scary, yeah, isn't it? Yeah, your voice is right out there. In fact, diving even deeper into it, isn't it kind of, my voice is out there in so many different ways that there's software where you can take someone's voice, play it into a system and do the whole deep fake thing.
Yeah.
So someone could like record something and it's not me.
Yeah.
Remember that. Get that down.
It's so wild.
This could be fake, the listener at home. This could be a whole deep fake. This could be a robot.
Oh, I think we're in a simulation.
This is getting quite deep, isn't it?
Conspiracy type stuff.
We are in the Matrix.
Yeah, I mean, I won't go into detail.
No, yeah. We'll save it for a few beers or something. We can dive into that part.
Yeah, I think you only realize that when you're a little bit older.
Yeah.
But then the younger generation are picking things up so quick.
They are amazing. If you see like a 3-year-old with an iPad,
yeah, they're just swiping.
That's scary.
Yeah. I think,
I've seen a monkey use it.
really?
Yeah. It's like a chimp with an
Actually,
iPad.
monkeys are smart anyway.
Yeah, I'm a monkey.
Yeah, same here. Evolved from it.
Yeah.
Or from them, I should say. Yeah, I feel like, what was I going to say?
You're talking about Gen Zers and how, or just the younger generation about how they're really good with tech.
Yeah, they pick things a lot quicker. Their knowledge is right up there as well. But then it's just the maturity. Yeah. And sometimes that naivety does work out when you're starting fresh in the industry. Yeah.
Like anything.
In the industry.
If you just start out and I don't know, like I play sport and, as you're younger, you've got no fear. You're like, let's just go for it. Even, you starting your business, it's like, no, I back myself, got no fear. But then when you get older and you've got more to lose, that's when you start thinking, like the risk starts to, it starts to play more of a factor in your decision making.
Yeah. That's so true. And I think that's why you always have to remain curious to counter that. Because otherwise you go down that slope of complacency. This is a status quo. This is how I've always been doing it. But then if that is the case, then I feel like you're just siloing your own.
Can't change.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I encounter that.
Same.
Like like all the time. But generally people, you don't know if that's how they think, or they're just saying that just because they don't want to have that conversation with you. But most people, if given the option of something better, they're like, actually, that looks pretty good.
But then the change would be too much.
You
reckon?
Yeah, the changes. It's like,
I don't know.
It's only as much as you make it out to be, like in anything, moving house, it's a pain. But if the new house has all the things that you really want and it's got a pool and a view, you're gonna, spend the hassle of spending a day doing it. It's worth the pain of making that move. I don't like moving house, but if there was
you're constantly upgrading, eh?
Yeah.
Next is going to be a movie theater and all that.
Yeah, exactly. Got to have it in-home cinema. No, I mean, no. Tell you what was when I moved back from the UK, or even over there in the first place, just moving with a backpack on your back. There's something so liberating about that.
It is, eh?
I'm not sure if you did it with Canada, but
we did.
Just
backpack.
Get there, got nothing, and then when we left, didn't have like large furniture. We had a few keepsakes that we shipped home, like a couple of boxes, but the rest of it was just on your backpack. And now I look at our garage and it's just filled with stuff. Like we've got a stand-up paddleboard that my partner bought, yet to use it, just every day, walk past it to the car. I'm like, God. I mean, we have had a bad summer, so give it the benefit of the doubt, but still.
Let's take it to Lloyd Elsmore.
take it to the duck pond. Yeah. It'll go down well.
I mean, you can't even swim in the beaches anyway because they're full of crap.
Yeah, well, I looked yesterday and you can swim at Bucklands Beach, the local one to me. And that's one thing I've really missed this summer. You can't. We used to go for like a 4:30 swim, like pretty much every other day. Just jump in the car.
In the morning or afternoon?
In the afternoon.
Oh, okay. Still good.
We were going to try something. The last Friday of every month, we go for a sunrise swim. Did it once. Loved it. It just got a dog now. Just like we just stopped doing it.
But it's just like, the dog doesn't want to go in there.
She should actually love it. I think the admin comes from just having to like hose her down and then go to work. Yeah. I need to stop being lazy in the morning. Get up and do those sunrise swims.
Yeah.
Mate. That was a really good chat.
Yeah.
Enjoyed that.
Well, thanks for having me.
No, thanks for joining us. It was fun. If anybody wants to reach out and, if you want to be a mentor to somebody, would you be happy if they just contact you via the website?
Yeah. Yeah. Just reach out.
More
than happy to. Yeah. I mean, I'm only been in the industry still young, so I'm still learning as well. But yeah, more than happy to.
There'll be people who are just starting out who I'm sure they'll be keen to reach out. But yeah, there's always somebody who has something to learn. Somebody's been in the industry for 20 years. You might have touched on something that they're like, what? I need to find out more.
True. Very good.
Be curious. Like
good point. Yeah. Gotta stay true to that, eh? Curiosity is it's a good attribute to have.
It's one of the traits that I always look for in people, whether you're just going to like a random dinner party or, if I sit down and the person, you just ask them questions and they're just like blanket response. But if you mention something and you can tell they're like, oh, what is that? Tell me more about it. Like it's something that I really value in people.
It's so hard to also get your own biases out of that. To remain that curious. Yeah. But it's fun when you talk to someone that is that curious. It's like, you can start to, find things in common and stuff.
And I love whenever people are chatting about something they're really passionate about. I think this is probably what sets some of the good advisors apart when they're communicating that information about something which is traditionally a bit boring, maybe about a mortgage, and they're just so passionate about like what it can bring. That I think is the key part about growing your business and growing your client base and getting them really behind you. Having that passion.
Passion, eh?
Yeah. Passion for fashion.
Why do you think people find it so hard to find their own passion? Do you think that they don't want to take risk or? Yeah,
potentially. Like you said, could be parents as well. Like, you really want to do this and they were like, no, don't do it. So external factors, people of influence, sometimes not even finding it, or maybe their passion is something that's just, they can't make money off or it's too time consuming or.
Actually, you said something really important, well, to me, which was like, they don't know what their passion is. And I think it's mainly because of the focus. The attention span is just so short.
Oh, yeah. You want everything now.
Yeah.
Oh, man. It's funny because I do this podcast, which is like a long form podcast, but, sometimes when I'm watching, if I'm trying to like learn something like in the garden or how do I build this, and I'm watching on YouTube and it's like a 3-minute video, but the guy spends the first 45 seconds like, hey, thanks for following me here. Make sure you comment and subscribe. I'm like, dude, shut up and just get into it. I don't need to watch an intro video. And I'm like, man, I'm impatient.
I'm the same. I just skip. Yeah. I get it. And then the worst part is when you skip too much is like, all right, I got to go back now.
Yeah.
Twice the amount of time.
I listen to podcasts usually on like 1.2 times speed. If it's one I want to get through, 1.5, watch videos. Chuck, who works here, he's like relentless at it. He'll listen to them at 2x speed. I just don't know how he retains the knowledge because it's like, I already talk too fast for that anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I listen to it 1.5 times speed as well. But it's, do you think we're just impatient now? Or is it just?
Yeah. We're just used to having everything now. You can get the answer, you can get whatever you want. You can listen to any song in the world. Boom. If you have any argument in the pub, what's the answer? Boom, you're wrong. We're just so used to having everything provided to us.
So true.
Which is good and it's bad. I do expect things quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even sometimes if
like the clients wanting turnaround times right now.
Yep. Turnaround times right now. Software takes, 10 seconds to load a page instead of 2.
Oh yeah.
And you're just like that, like always really infuriates me. But then I've obviously got to be a bit more patient because that's the message I'm preaching.
Yeah, you've got how life was, say even 3-4 years ago. Yeah. Like things, you never had 4K or 1080p on YouTube. Things were buffering.
Oh man, I remember this comedian talking about this. He had this bit and he was describing one of the first planes he went on where they had Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, just let you know, there's one of the first planes you can have Wi-Fi access so you can log on. And he's like, great. Logs on, he's watching YouTube or whatever. And then after 10 minutes, it cuts out. And they're like, sorry guys, I had a few problems with the Wi-Fi, so it's just cut out. It's not going to be working for the rest of the flight. And he's like, oh, that is great. And then realized, I think he said the guy next to him or something was like, oh, that's great. He's like, mate, you're complaining about something you didn't even know existed 10 minutes ago.
You make a pretty good American accent.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, lots of practice.
But the worst part is that comedian probably felt like, oh, I paid for the Wi-Fi and it already died out after 10 minutes. Like, what? Do I get a refund now?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I guess the message is always just like, people are so impatient. I guess we're all a little bit entitled and we expect things now. Yeah.
I'm seeing that with my kids at the moment.
Oh, what? Super impatient?
It's just super impatient. I don't know if it's like, but it's
genetic, isn't it?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it probably is genetic. And I was going to say YouTube. The choices of the kids nowadays, they can watch whatever they want, whenever they want, at whatever speed they want. Whereas back then, TV2, TV3, Cartoon Network, that was the only cartoon you watched. There was no like, oh, Mum, can you flick this through? Give me Bluey or give me this episode at that specific. Mate, why don't you have kids?
I know. And even I'm sure my parents listening to this, they'd go, I think we only had like one or two channels.
Yeah.
So, and it cut off at whatever, 10 o'clock. So
The Kiwi comes on.
Kiwi.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's good.
Mate,
Thanks,
that was
mate.
great. Should we call it here?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sweet,
Cool.
man. I really appreciate you coming on and looking forward to seeing the full cut of this. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, likewise. Hopefully, yeah, we can value it.
Definitely. Cheers, Will.
Thanks.